Namaskar. Welcome to this session on energy resources and conservation. I am Professor B. Rupini from School of Interdisciplinary and Trans-Disciplinary Studies, along with my colleague Dr. Sushmitha Baskar, to discuss with you about the energy resources, which is a part of the postgraduate diploma in environmental and occupational health, and also the Master of Arts in environmental and occupational health. And this is the very first course of these programs, that is the MEV 001, which is an introduction to environmental health. Of course, we know that in our daily lives, energy is a very core part, our core element, and it has a higher status in our modern day lives because we have from the beginning, that is the powering our houses and also the lighting of our streets and also the fueling of the industries and enabling technological developments. All for these elements, the energy is a must. So there is one important question definitely confront us because there should be a balance between, and then how do we balance or how do we establish a balance between the rising in the energy needs or energy consumption and energy demand along with the sustainable energy practices and also high concerns about the what is that energy poverty and also the all the elements which are disturbing our planet, that is the environmental health and environmental health of the universe and also the sustainable development goals. How do we establish a balance between these? So this is most important as well as pressing issue, and within these few minutes we would like to discuss about what are the different energy resources we have, and we have divided this session into two parts. In the first part we will discuss about non-renewable energy resources, and in the second part we will discuss about the renewable energy resources. So to begin with, we have to start with the non-renewable energy resources. So non-renewable energy resources, by definition, we can say that it is once we have used, it is very difficult to replenish within a shorter duration. So that is why they cannot be regenerated in one's lifetime or otherwise many year lifetimes. So for example, these are some of the examples of the energy, non-renewable sources of the energy. And it is expected that our oil, that is a petroleum, and natural gas, which are the examples of these non-renewable energy resources that cannot be replenished in the near future. So that means for the millions of years it takes to regenerate. And also similarly, the coal, one of the example of the non-renewable energy resources, it may last no longer than another 114 years. That means after that it will consider as a scarce natural resources. And another important aspect of these non-renewable energy resources are the fossil fuels. So we all know that what are the fossil fuels. That means they have very high calorific value. Why a longer demand and the strong demand for the fossil fuels? What is the meaning of the high calorific value? That means the high calorific value is the absolute amount of heat that is released by the unit mass or the volume of a given fuel after combustion. So that means the fossil fuels are the major energy resources, and also it will give a wide range of applications, and also it will also satisfy all the energy needs. And the most important thing is the transportation of the fossil fuels like oil and gas to the power stations, that can be very easy to transport from one place to the other place. And the first example we would like to see is coal. So coal is what we can call it as a rock. We can say that is a black rock. It is depends upon the remains of the how much carbonization has been taken place, or otherwise we can call it as how much carbonization process the coal is undergone. So it depends upon the carbonization process, the rank for the coal has been given. So here we have given some examples of the coal, different types of coals, depends upon the carbonization process. The anthracite is the highest ranked. That means the most important element in this coal is the carbon content, that is 86, almost it is 86 to 97% of coal is there. So that means the high calorific value will be there on the anthracite. And the second one is the subbituminous as well as bituminous, and the last ranked is the lignite, and that is the lowest grade of coal we can consider as it is 24 to 34% of coal content, carbon content is there. So this is why, and also it is a very we can say that a lot of greenhouse gases will be emissioned because after the consumption after the combustion of this coal. And these are the some of the advantages as well as disadvantages I would like to show that, because the advantages, if we will consider that this is a plentiful and also easy to exploit, and technology demands are also very, very small or very little, and also the economic costs are also very low. But as far as the disadvantages of the coal is using of the coal is the release the carbon dioxide, which is a primary greenhouse gas, and also the environmental consequences like the climate change, including the acidification of the streams and also acid rain, and whatever it is the particulate matter that will be released after the combustion of this coal. It is a biggest threat to the climate change as well as the greenhouse gas effect and pollution. And next example we can see that is a natural gas. So natural gas is comparatively, when we will compare to the other non-renewable energy resources, it is a relatively cleaner energy we can consider, because the most important component in the natural gas is the methane, along with the butane and then propane and some of the other hydrocarbons are also there. So even though it is a fossil fuel, but we can consider relatively it is a cleaner energy fuel. So some of the examples, advantages as well as disadvantages I would like to tell about this natural gas. It is very less expensive than other fossil fuels, and also extremely reliable, efficient storage and transportation when compared to the renewable energy sources. And biggest disadvantage for this natural gas is it will definitely pollute the environment and relatively expensive to the storage also. And the next one is the petroleum. This is the third example of the non-renewable energy resources. So it is petroleum is a mixture of hydrocarbons, and also it can be formed in the remains of the ocean because of the marine plants, which can be buried and then also after millions of years it will be buried, and then whatever it is the pressure and due to the temperature, the petroleum will be generated. And the digging procedure as well as the drilling machines are also very expensive to extract the petroleum. And the highest advantage for this one is it is very easy to transport and use, and also it is relatively energy dense and also cleaner burning than coal. That means there is a relative distribution of energy and also relative advantages to transport from one place to the other, and then how much pollutants will be emitted into the atmosphere is most important over here. And the main disadvantage for this petroleum is because of the limited resource, that is a scarce resource we can consider it, and also it produces the hazardous substances, and transport can cause oil spills, and also that is a disasters for the environment. That is one of the chemical disasters. And to addressing these issues, what are the important factors and the government initiatives we have to consider? And there are the several sustainable development goals which we have to achieve by 2030, and some of the sustainable development goals, the criteria is at least to achieve these goals by 2070. So some of these sustainable development goals I would like to introduce to our learners. That the first one is the SDG 7, that is affordable and clean energy. That will be related to the access to affordability and the reliability and the sustainable and more energy to the all. And these are the second one is the SDG 13, that is the climate action, and that is regarded as the sustainable energy consumption that is critical in reducing greenhouse gas emissions and promoting climate resilience. And the third one is SDG 9, that is industry innovation and infrastructure. Of course, whenever there is an innovation and infrastructure for any of the industries, the most important initiation has to be taken place in the machinery. And then how to minimize the adverse effects of any of the chemical use and what type of technology is required at the beginning stage itself, we have to understand. So that comes under the SDG 9. And the next goal is 11, that is sustainable cities and the communities. It also addresses the infrastructure facilities and the architecture of the green buildings, and then how to have the lesser consumption of the energy needs so that we can minimize the energy consumption and in order to reduce the pollutants also from the fossil fuels. And another sustainable development goal, that is SDG 12, that is responsible consumption and production. That is also highlighting the need for the efficient resource, and also that is a responsible consumption. So there should be a behavioral change in everyone. So that is a responsible consumption of the fossil fuels. And second SDG 1 is no poverty. So poverty is also related to the energy consumption as well as the energy demand. Till today, most of the rural areas, they are not able to access the clean energy. And final sustainable development goal is that is good health as well as well-being. Of course, access to the clean energy is, of course, it is most important and significant factor for health, particularly in the reducing the air pollution from the traditional fossil fuels for cooking as well as heating. And next, what are the other alternatives for these fossil fuels or non-renewable energy resources? So the most important alternative energy is the hydrogen. So hydrogen production is, there are many types of hydrogen productions are there. First one is the fossil resources itself. Even though the hydrogen is a very clean fuel without having any byproducts or without having any release of the greenhouse gases after burning, complete combustion. And also the another generation technique of the hydrogen is biomass, or the generation of the bioenergy from the waste, that is organic waste. And the third important procedure or the method to generate the hydrogen is the electrolysis of water molecules. So first one is the steam methane reforming, second one is the electrolysis, and the third one is the biological process. So many other procedures are also there, but the most important factor over here by selecting the method is because of the generation of the types of hydrogens. That is, there are two main types of hydrogens are there. One is the blue hydrogen and the second one is the green hydrogen. So now, by name itself, green hydrogen is without releasing any byproducts. So electrolysis is the best method of the generation of the hydrogen, and splitting of the water molecule, that is also one of the important element of the electrolysis, and without having any byproduct or without having any release of the greenhouse gases. And the two other methods, that is the steam methane reforming and the biological processes, these two are the best methods to generate the blue hydrogen gas. And these are the applications of the hydrogen fuel cells. It can be used as a fuel cells, and it also for the backup power, and also systems for storing and enabling renewable energy. And it is very easy and also portable power. And speciality is some of the transportation sector also adopting for the hydrogen as a fuel. And another alternative energy resource is the nuclear power. And the nuclear power is also most important, and we can consider is a clean fuel, and but the resource of the using of the uranium is the only non-renewable resource. So that is a nuclear reactor. Because of the procedures, that is a nuclear fission, the energy can be generated. So the advantages of the most of the nuclear energy is it provides the jobs as well as prosperity and good for the economy. And the disadvantages for the nuclear power is disposing the nuclear waste is of course challenging, and because the isotopes of uranium will be used, so that will be very, very drastic effects on, as well as the chemical disasters for the other things. And the last alternative methods I would like to give is the energy from the microorganisms. So that is a bioelectrochemical system and microbial fuel cells. So the microorganisms which can be used in these two methods are the Geobacter sulfur-reducine and Chivinella putrefaciens. So these are the two microorganisms. They have the unique property to transfer the electrons extracellularly from the microorganisms' bodies to the metals, which can oxidize to produce the bioenergy and also the hydrogen. So with these, I would like to hand over to the Dr. Sushmitha ma'am for explaining about some of the renewable energy sources.
Thank you, Professor Rupini, for detailing our learners about the non-renewable resources and some alternative energy resources which are sustainable. So now if we discuss about sustainable energy, so here we will discuss about the renewable energy sources and something which can actually provide opportunity, and it will also help in economic development of a nation, and millions of people can be empowered in forms of entrepreneurship and so on. So goal 7 of the SDGs, of the Sustainable Development Goal, this itself says that affordable and clean energy should be given and should be accessible to all the citizens by the year 2030. So let us now understand the importance of going from unsustainable to sustainable energy with a small case study and example. So long ago in the Greek and the Roman civilizations, and this is about 2500 years ago, people here again in Greece, they have the warm summers and cool winters. So here in Greece, the people were using the coal for heating their homes, and the coal was actually, the charcoal based heating devices were used, and that was actually warming their homes. Then it became that the cutting up and the depletion of all the wood sources started occurring, and then the people had to import the wood from different other places, from far away from where they were staying, and so the people started using the olive groves. So the olive wood and the olive groves were also then started getting chopped off and depleted, and then people started using this wood for heating their homes. Then came by the 4th century, the government in Greece, they brought about a ban on the logging and depletion of this olive wood, using for cutting and for other purposes. So then at the same time, the Greece, in the people, they started constructing their houses facing the south at an angle, so that the sun, that is passive solar heating system, they used this energy so that the rays of the sun and the heating and the power of the sun could be used to warm their houses during winters, and also for summers for certain other activities. And they also started using glass in their construction material, so that this solar rays could penetrate the glass, and then that could again bring about heating of their rooms. So here from this we understand that the Greek, they started shifting from the unsustainable behavior of cutting the wood and using that for heating and the fossil fuel based resource, to a sustainable energy resource, that is using the power of the solar heat. And here this was free for them. The solar, that every day the sun is shining bright in the day, and you just have to harness the power in the right way, in the right angle, so that that can be used effectively. So now if we see renewable energy and its importance, So this can also be known as the green energy, because this is not giving any undesirable byproduct. It is not polluting the environment or polluting the human health, and this refers to the energy that is derived from natural resources and that could be renewed in a relevant period of time frame related to the human activities. So there are several types of the renewable resources. It could be the wind resource, then the tidal resources, then we have the geothermal energy, we have the solar power, we have hydropower, we have biomass, and all this is inexhaustible, and it constitutes approximately 15% of the global energy remix. Now, garrets of Himalayas. So here again we have an example. For centuries old, the hydropower or the water from the flowing water, the energy from the flowing water, that has been used by people in Jammu and Kashmir, in the Himalayas, in Uttarakhand, in Himachal Pradesh. And here this is an indigenous technology where water flows from a height and then it drives the turbines, and the water can come from the glacier, from the perennial streams or rivulets, and in this photograph you can see that this energy can then run the cotton, their wool weaving machines, and the flour and the rice husking machines. So day-to-day activities, the small scale and the cottage industry activity can be performed using this simple energy resource. So here again people have modified these garrets in order to drive their simple machinery. And here if you see in this figure, it can consist of a wooden turbine, or it can consist of iron blades that will rotate when the water flows over it. And then there is a shaft which connects the wheel to the rotating stone, and that will then move against the stationary grinding stone, and that way the flour or the rice or anything that could be ground into a flour or in a paste-like condition. So this is how the people harnessed the power from nature, and again this was not coming at any cost. So this is a totally renewable resource which has been used by people for centuries in India. So coming on to solar energy. So this is freely available. So in India itself, if you see, and those places which are very near the equator, they have a lot of the solar energy. So energy can be harnessed well with the help of the photovoltaics that can follow the position of the sun. And then this energy can be used, for example, in many of the institutions, even the universities, in colleges, if you see, they are using the solar geysers, and even individual houses also. So solar geysers are being used where the energy from the sun that can heat the water, so that you don't require the electric geyser and the consumption of the electric power. And the same way you have the solar panels which can again run an entire home for the energy requirements. Another example is that from Deba in Chhattisgarh. Now here again this state has fifth of all the solar powered villages in the country. So here the villagers did not have the proper energy resources, and they were relied on the kerosene lamps and the lanterns that they use in the night for all their requirements. So Deba is one of the 50 villages that has been benefited by the Ministry of New and Renewable Energy, by the Government of India's initiatives, where the this dense Barnavapara forest region, they have been benefited by these photovoltaic cells and the solar power plants. So what about India's initiatives for the solar power? Many villages in India, they have been provided the solar power under the government's initiative and the energy plan, and under the Ministry of New and Renewable Energy, Government of India, Honorable Prime Minister's Surya Ghar and Muft Bijli Yojana plan. So this provides homes and options for the individual homes for the rooftop solar panels, and again they have set aside 100 gigawatt of the solar energy by the year 2022. So this rooftop solar voltaic systems, or RTS, for the grid connected non-conventional energy generation, this has really advanced considerably in the recent years, and this has focused on green energy, on clean energy and eco-friendly energy generation. So these points have to be noted and kept in brackets for your understanding. Green, clean energy, and also it is totally renewable and it is eco-friendly. So these days, if you see now, even after Diwali, you find that the air quality index is very poor in many of the major cities in India. So think about it. So energy, clean energy energy that is very important for our own health quality, for also the environment health quality. Now, Gujarat leads the Indian states in terms of installing these rooftop solar devices, and again this is followed by Maharashtra, then Karnataka, then Rajasthan, and also Haryana. So they all account for half of the nation's total solar rooftop photovoltaic installations, and this data is as of July 31st, 2023. Next, coming on to wind power. So how beautiful it is to see the wind farms, right? They are situated in a place, and this is often a very nice sight when you take a ride. It could be in the United Kingdom, it could also be in Berlin and in Germany. This is totally transformed to the renewable energy resources. So here we find vast stretches of land, and an entire train ride can actually go through these wind farms, and it's a very pleasant and fascinating sight to see. So this is nothing but harnessing the power from the wind. But again, there are advantages, there are disadvantages, and in India, the south of India, in Tamil Nadu, we have the largest amount of the wind farms and the wind capacity that has been installed. So you need a good quality wind in order to drive these turbines. So this depends on the wind position and the coastal region where they can be properly installed and then maintained. The next comes to the tidal energy. So this also comes from the rise and the low and the high tides, or you can say by the natural rise and fall of the ocean tides and the currents, the energy can be got and generated. The technologies over here, they include the turbines and the paddles which could be used to drive these things, and there are tidal energy generators. And the world's first tidal power station, this was constructed at Strangford Lough in Northern Ireland, and it is a very popular one in terms of the tidal energy. Then we also have the biogas, which is constituting very high proportion of the renewable energy resource, and this is generated from the anaerobic decomposition of the organic waste by bacteria which are responsible for methanogenesis and methanogenic bacteria, and acetogenesis and acetogenic bacteria. And in India, the biogas is primarily obtained from the cattle manure. So this is one of the most sustainable technologies for harnessing in terms of again a clean energy, and it can also recycle the nutrients and reduce the emissions. And many of the power plants, like many of the places in India, here they have turned to these biogas technologies. Even communities have also adopted this, where they have been installed, and the Bark India also have taken a lot of steps by providing technologies for communities and bringing up these biogas reactors for community use. And again, we have some more renewable energies like the geothermal energy, where you might have seen the hot springs that are coming from deep below the Earth's surface. So that all can also be a natural source of energy, and this also can be used in many sectors. So that was all about the renewable energy, and yeah.
Thank you, Dr. Sushmitha, for giving a brief about the renewable energy resources. So with these, we can conclude this session, because we have seen the non-renewable energy resources, and then renewable energy resources, and then how we can harness the sustainable energy resources by using the green technology. And also there is a lot of government initiatives. Pradhan Mantri Ujjwala Yojana is also there, and also the Saubhagya for the rural people to provide accessible, we can say that, affordable clean energy to all rural background people. And also most important factor to conclude in this is there is a path ahead, definitely. The first one is the policy, second one is the technology, and the third one is the innovation. So the combination of these three, along with the behavioral changes of the human beings, will definitely have harness the green energy also, and also to switch over. It is not easy, and also it is not immediate effect, but we can strive for this. So that's why moving towards sustainability will require the lot of changes, not only in the way of energy it's supplied, but the way it is used, and reducing the amount of energy required to deliver various goods. So that is a conservation of the resources, and also by the usage of the carbon carpooling without having going for a car ride, and we have to use the public transport. That is a behavioral changes, and also switch over to the LED lamps also. So with these I would like to conclude, and in the next session we will come up with the other factors. Thank you.
Thank you.